Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. This is Angel65. I'm Brandon Wares, my channel for all things music related, music reviews, and publishing my own music. Today is music review number 4, and the topic is Thick as a Brick, the 5th studio album by Jethro Tull. In this review, I will show you this packaging of the original vinyl LP, and then I will also review the album, talk about what I think of it, and I'm also going to talk about this, which is the 40th anniversary reissue of the album, including a new stereo and 5.1 mix by Steven Wilson. First things first, let's look at the original LP. If you have never seen this before, you're in for a treat. This is an awesome album cover, which is actually a fold-out 12-page newspaper. So this includes all kinds of hilarious joke articles by the band, detailing all kinds of ridiculous stuff. If you actually read through every single page on this newspaper, it is fantastic. Allegedly, it took longer to design this cover than it did to record the album itself. So, some background on the album. Jethro Tull's 4th album, Aqualung, was often seen by some reviewers as a concept album because each of the sides had sort of a different theme to it. Lead singer, flautist Ian Anderson thought this was very funny because he didn't think of it as a concept album at all. He thought of it as just a bunch of songs. And so as a spoof, he decided to make their next album the ultimate concept record spoof. The title, Thick as a Brick, is down to the fact that people are reading between the lines and picking up things that are not there. So the entire point of the piece is just kind of a parody of the entire concept album genre. The story on the newspaper front page suggests that the title, Thick as a Brick, is a poem written by an 8-year-old boy named Gerald Bostock, whose poem initially won a prize and then was banned due to supposedly being subversive. And then the band Jethro Tull decided to take this poem and turn it into a big, epic 44-minute piece of music split across 2 sides of an LP. The story is complete bogus. There is no child. There is no poem written by anybody other than Ian Anderson. All of the music and lyrics were composed by him. Apparently, when this first came out, many people did not get the joke. They actually assumed that this kid was a real person and that this was supposed to be some big, epic statement, and it wasn't. It was exactly the opposite, which in a way makes it even funnier. So that's the background on the album. Now to the music itself. So as I said, it is one long piece of music split into different sections across 2 vinyl LPs. The first side is about 23 minutes. The second side is about 22 minutes. And even though these are long pieces with lots of themes that are recapitulated and brought back and forth throughout the entire movement, if you like, they are essentially separate songs that are just sort of strung together and all held into one big cohesive piece with this supposed poem by an 8-year-old. It is a fantastic album, and it is one of my favorite progressive rock albums ever. I will tell you, the first time I heard this, I was in college. I believe it was my junior year. I was on a choir tour. I was in a concert choir at college, and we were spending a weekend going around Colorado singing and performing at different cathedrals throughout the country. Throughout the state, I mean. And on the bus ride between, I think, Breckenridge and Rifle, I was listening to this on streaming, and it is the first time I had ever heard it. I had heard about it, but I had never listened to the record itself, so I decided to listen to it on that bus ride, and it blew my mind. It was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed every single second of this, the way it develops, the different themes, and just the overall humor of the lyrics I thought was fantastic. So, this is an incredible album. There are so many great moments on it, it's hard to just detail and pick a couple. My favorite moment on the album is probably, gosh, it's hard to pick one. I really enjoy when we get to The Poet and the Painter, which is sort of the second song, if you like. I really enjoyed that. I also enjoy the Do You Believe in the Day section a lot. Those are probably my 2 favorite moments on the entire album, but the solos are fantastic. The way the pieces are interconnected. The flute work by Ian Anderson is awesome, and then of course it all culminates in a big epic ending with some orchestra, which is the only part the band themselves did not perform. overall, it's a fantastic album. It's hard to explain it track by track because even though there are separate pieces within it, really it's all just one big cohesive piece that, again, is just a spoof of concept albums in general. And so whether or not you could consider this a concept album, the concept of spoofing other concepts is really funny, and it actually works very well. And even though there's a lot of humor in the music and the lyrics itself, at no point to me does it ever become corny or ridiculous. This is just something fantastic. Of all the Jethro Tull albums I've heard, I'm not a diehard Jethro Tull fan. I haven't heard all of them. I've heard maybe 3 or 4, but of those 3 or 4, this is by far my favorite. It is their most successful and probably most recognized album. And for good reason. I enjoy it a lot. And I enjoy the newspaper too. I think it adds to the humor. There's a lot of little funny, ridiculous tidbits in there. Some of them connecting to the poem. Some of them just completely unrelated, but still really funny. I enjoy this so much. I really don't know what else to say about it. If you have never heard this album, you need to check it out immediately. And it is an album that you do need to sit through and listen to in its entirety, start to finish. If you don't do that, you are doing it an injustice, because the way the pieces connect, whether or not it's supposed to be making fun of pretentious music that's big and epic, it is big and epic, and it actually holds its own really well with all the little pieces inside of it. Fantastic album. The guitar playing is great. The organ is especially great. I love the organ. I love the drums. I love this whole thing start to finish. I would say that the only part of it that is a little bit ridiculous and that maybe I could do without is following the drum solo, which opens side 2. There's a little section where I believe it's the bass player, Jeffrey Hammond is doing like a spoken word thing, just saying a bunch of ridiculous phrases. That part is a little stupid, but it kind of just adds to the humor of the whole thing. So overall, I am fine with it, and I just love the way each of the individual sections connect. That's about all I can say about it. Rating, 10 out of 10. Fantastic album, incredible. You should definitely check this out if you've not heard it. Now on to the re-release, including the 5.1 mix. So first off, the packaging is really cool. It's just a little book-style DVD case. I enjoy the booklet that comes with it because it reproduces most of the original newspaper, just in smaller form, and then there's an additional set of pages at the back with some interviews with Ian Anderson, an essay about it, tour dates, lots of nice pictures, etc., etc. Very cool little booklet that it comes with. Nice read through that. And then you get the CD with the stereo remix, and the DVD has the 5.1 mix, the stereo remix, the original mix, and a little radio advert for the album. The 5.1 mix is awesome. I tend to really love Steven Wilson's 5.1 mixes. He doesn't do so much of making it envelop everything around you, whereas you feel like it's sort of just big stereo. He actually does do a lot of positioning, so there's things behind you, things in front of you, and it's often surprising when you hear parts coming from behind you. I like that surprise effect. I think it suits this music particularly well. It's nice and punchy, lots of good bottom end to it, so overall a very, very impressive 5.1 mix. If you have a 5.1 system, I would highly recommend you pick this up. It is the 40th anniversary version, but it was re-released for its 50th anniversary because for a long time this was out of print and hard to find. I believe you can find it relatively easily now for a fair price. I think I paid maybe $40 for this, which for the booklet and 2 discs, including a good 5.1 mix, I didn't think was too absurd at all. So definitely worth a look at. In fact, I would say you might want to go for that version first. If you have an LP, a turntable, then the LP is great too, just because you get the newspaper in full size. I do like the new mix, maybe a little bit better just because it's punchier and the spacing is just a little wider. The original mix is a little more compressed, I would say. Overall, very, very good remix. The original mix is fantastic too, though. I was introduced to it with the original mix. And that's about all I have to say about this one. Short video because, again, it's hard to talk about the album too much because it is just one big epic piece. It's hard to go track by track and say, I like this track and not this track. There are good moments, there are moments that I like less, but at no point do I get bored or irritated with this record. I think it's consistent start to finish, and I would recommend you check it out. That's all I have to say about this. So, Thick as a Brick, Jethro Tull, awesome album, 5 out of 5. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think below. Bye-bye.